7 Sport presents a videotape replay of all the action from last Tuesday's Herald Shield match.
Welcome to VFL Park for the first Herald Shield match for 1983. The ball about to be bounced. Cranbourne in the maroon, Mount Lilydale College in the blue with the gold panels. There's been slight rain falling here this afternoon, but it's very humid. At this stage, good evening to Bob Skilton.
Good evening, Stephen. It's bad luck, not bad luck from the public's point of view, because we badly need rain. It's not heavy rain, but it is drizzling, and it will make it a little bit awkward as we find the ball put forward by Aloy, I should say, and he's put it over the boundary line on the full, and so we find the free kick going down there to Cranbourne High.
The rain has just been enough to make the concrete wet and the ground just a little bit slippery.
Ball punched off the top by Dalgleish and picked up in fine style. It should be a free kick. Now it's called play on, and the ball quickly driven forward down there by Tripodi. Tripoti's kick intercepted by McDonald. He puts it back in towards the centre. No mark taken. Picked up and quickly hand pass. Tapped back in towards the centre. Strong play to try and burst through the pack. He gets a free kick, and we find Andrew Dalgleish. And we'll see just how good Dalgleish is, because I understand that he is a member of the Peter Crimmins squad, which is virtually the scholarship squad of the Hawthorn Football Club, Stephen.
Yes, this Mount Lilydale team appeared in the competition about 4 years ago, back in 1979, and received an unholy drubbing, kicked only 1 goal, and we got a nice letter from them saying that most of the team that year were made up of ballet dancers. Well, they've had plenty of the play in these first couple of minutes tonight. The ball put into attack. The slippery conditions be very hard for the boys because they haven't had much football. It's only the second week in March. Most of them have been back at school for about a month.
A nice hand pass from Cox, missed by his teammate, but he gets a free kick for holding the man, and that will be taken there by Danny Finlay. So it's Finlay wide on the half-forward flank. No chance of the score from this position. Finlay favouring the drop punt towards the forward pocket, and good mark taken down there, and it looks like Sotko. I'll be certain of that.
He's the skipper of the Mount Lilydale side.
So from around about $1 off the side of the boot. A poor kick on that occasion. It's out of bounds on the full. So the free kick, of course, will be taken right alongside the behind post by Cranbourne High. A kick up towards half-back flank. Punched on, straight over the back. Cox coming in, gets a hand pass off the side though, and it goes over the boundary line. So a throwing to take place on the half-forward flank for Mount Lilydale High. Neither side has yet scored. 2.5 minutes into the first term of the Herald Shield.
Number 20 in the maroon for Cranbourne High is Wybenga. He's up against Sotko. Wybenga pushing the ball on cleverly. Finally tapped back. Sotko through again. Ball pushed out. Melee of players there. Players finding it very difficult to pick it up in these slippery conditions out here at VFL Park. And the umpire comes in, and we'll see Wybenga against Sotko again. Wybenga gets the lucky bounce, gets pushed in the back. The umpire...
Yes, he agrees with you, Steve.
I was hoping he would. It would have been a very bad start to 1983. McDonald on the mark. Wybenga, an awkward kick. In fact, it isn't even an awkward kick, it's a shocker. He comes back in, tries to make up for it. Dalgleish whipping in there. And the free kick going the way of Mount Lilydale High.
Against Wybenga.
To McDonald. The kick, another awkward kick. And there'll be a mark here. And that looked like number 15, which is Cox. Cox's pass finds Urquhart on the left foot. A couple of left footers in the play early. Another opportunity now. Overrunning the ball and clearing away is McMahon towards the boundary line. Won't make the boundary line. In fact, good kick over the shoulder. In there is Anderweezer. The ball is over the boundary line. We'll have a throw in. We're about 30 metres around from the goals. Scoreboard end of the ground, and neither side to score. 4 minutes into this quarter, and light rain continues to fall. The conditions very humid indeed.
On the throw-in, the free kick will go the way of Mount Lilydale High. We saw there Ken Garvey get into the back of his opponent, and so the free kick will be taken by John McDonald of Mount Lilydale High. McDonald from about 45 metres out, favouring the drop punt, slightly off the side of the boot, across the face. Almost a good mark taken there, as we see coming over the top was Battleline. He couldn't quite hang on to the ball. A hand pass high into the air by Hermans. He goes right to the boundary line. It's thumped over the line there by Capon, and so a boundary throw-in will take place in the forward pocket still for Mount Lilydale, and still no score. Almost 5 minutes into the first term. At the throw-in, we see McDonald and Garvey. McDonald up, got the tap down. Comes out wide with a quick kick there by Hermans. Couldn't quite get clear of the back though. Cravens first to the ball in this occasion, and Cravens of Cranbourne High coming up. A poor kick from Cravens though, straight to the opposition, taken by D'Angelo. He was well tackled, and now eventually we find the free kick going the way of Cranbourne High, and it may also be a 15-metre penalty as well. And De Kretzer, it looks like it will be the player who will take the free kick. Lowy should have easily had a 15-metre penalty again. It took that long to give the ball back. So we now find De Kretzer. Too close to the man on the mark, but still an effective kick. Could have covered far more distance though. In the front position was Dalglish. Couldn't take the mark, and it's taken away from him. And Dalglish could easily have given away a free kick. He was holding the player, was not in possession. De Kretzer gets a hand pass over the top. Good play by De Kretzer. It's put forward down there by Chapman. It's through for first score of the game. Unfortunately, only 1 point. Good play there by young Chad De Kretzer on Stephen.
Was indeed, and I like the way he followed up then too. I think he got a bit of a knock. When he fell, he's holding his side. But Mount Lilydale have been training under most unusual conditions, I believe. They said it was like training in a ball bearing factory, Bob.
Yes, they've had plenty out on the ground, they tell me.
2,500 sheep they've been helping out with drought relief up at Lilydale. But we see Aloy with the ball. Another wonky-looking kick. Take a week or two for the boys to get into full swing, I'd say. Garvey with the left footer, high. Players diving into action against each other.
Two brothers.
There'll be plenty of talk about that at home tonight. Mount Lilydale, yellow and blue jumpers, very noticeable there in defence. The ball high towards the centre. Chance again for Mount Lilydale to come through. Aloy in the thick of things, gets the ball out cleverly. Good play over to John D'Angelo, down to full forward, and the ball smothered off the boot. Plenty of opportunities for Mount Lilydale. They haven't been able to capitalise. The ball on the ground. The umpire not far away. Here comes the whistle. And the ball about 35 to 40 or maybe 45 metres out from goal, directly in front. Opportunity, good hand pass. Pushed to the ground is Dart. The little blonde there is Craven. Not hard to pick him up. The Trevor Barker of schoolboy football. That's a much better looking torpedo punt. De Kretzer flew about quarter of an hour before acceptors on the ground. Here's the opportunity now for Dalglish. Let's have a look at him in action. Nice looking kick offline. And the left footer Dalglish, Andrew Dalglish, puts the ball through for Cranbourne High's second behind of the evening. So we've been playing just on 8 minutes. The rain is still falling here. It's more of a drizzle than a heavy rain. And the scoreboard, 2 behinds, and Mount Lilydale yet to score.
A short pass from full back going to Quilty. So Quilty now from the back pocket plays on. Another short pass again. Dangerous football, but effective because we find McDonald taking the mark. McDonald again, well, loose players everywhere, but it goes through the hands down there of Battleline. And the other McDonald coming in. Lost possession of the ball, was well tackled. Battleline picks it up, drives it out towards the half-forward flank. It's going out wide towards the boundary line. And no free kick. Yes, it is a free kick for in the back. And we'll find out there Pound. Pound plays on straight away. Puts the high kick up looking for Anderweezer. Couldn't take the mark. Over the top was Capon. Capon comes in again. Throws himself after the ball. Can't get it clear of the pack though. We find a pack forming, and so the umpire has no option whatsoever but to come in and elect to bounce the ball about 35 to 40 metres out from the Mount Lilydale goal. and Louisa up high. Couldn't get the ball clear though. We can find the short kick smothered, picking up his Pound. He can't get clear, and a free kick goes away of Darren Capon of Cranbourne High.
Bob, very scrappy football here tonight. It'd be very hard for the kids who probably haven't seen rain since last August.
Yes, well, similar to when we normally have the dew drop coming down onto the ground, there's not enough to really hold, and it just makes the ground slippery and the ball slippery, and that's about all we've had, and it isn't good to play. It's bad enough once you're well into the season and you're used to conditions like that. When you first up, you never know what can happen.
And I don't think anyone knows what's happening out here at the moment. Who wants the ball? Tony D'Angelo takes the ball finally and sends Mount Lilydale back into attack with a beautiful kick, high kick. No one really been able to mark with this slippery ball, and Cranbourne right up to it. The mark, fumble again. Two players on the same team, and with the ball is Alloy.
It was bad luck there. His teammate Dalgleish tried to get out of his way, Steve, but unfortunately he did trip his own teammate. Dalgleish it was, got the ball down. Strong play down there by his teammate in Gannon. Gannon couldn't get the ball clear, and now we find the free kick going the opposition's way. Putting the ball forward is Sean McMahon. McMahon's kick, and Louisa couldn't quite gain possession. And Tripodi there overrunning the ball, maybe again because of the slippery conditions. Capon trying to force the ball forward in front of him, gets it out. Good play by Capon. Kicks the ball off the ground, and a favourable bounce for Andoiza. Short pass down towards the forward pocket, and a nice pass there finds Battleline. Battleline up towards the goal square. Good mark taken right on the boundary line, very close to the behind post, and we see Andrew Barden. Barden, well, it'll be a miraculous goal if he can kick it from there, but you never know what can happen when you're close enough to score, and he is close enough.
These were yours, Bobby, because you could just whip round onto the left foot. It was handy having both feet.
Yeah, and usually missed it.
He's using the banana. The umpire comes in. Says one behind. That's Mount Lilydale's first score of the evening at the 11-minute mark of the first quarter, and they trail Cranbourne High by 1 point. 2 points to 1 point. Pretty scrappy football, but as we've said, it's the first game of the Herald Shield season out here at VFL Park, and conditions a trifle awkward. The light rain has just stopped.
Anyway, the ball will be put back into play by Darren Capon. He kicks the ball to himself. Doesn't gain a great deal. He gained about 1 yard when you consider that he kicked it 1 yard in front of the line. So we now find the ball coming out towards the little player in Wayne Gannon. Gannon's kick almost picked up by Finley. He couldn't gain possession. Taken by Andoiza. Andoiza's snap at goal. Offline and through for 1 point. So scores a level. 12 minutes into the first term.
Very enthusiastic cheer squads behind the goals. They're the Mount Lilydale cheer squad you can see in the background. Cranbourne are over on the wing, over by the 7 sports signs. We'll see them a little later on. Ball back into play. Shocking kick. An absolute shocker. And with the ball is Pound. He's 15 metres out. It's the worst kick-off you'd ever see. I think he might have hit the ground with his boot before he kicked it.
Quite candidly, Steve. I just wonder often how many of these boys would be wearing the moulded sole boot. And as Jeremy Pound, vice-captain at Lilydale College, brings up first goal of the game and takes it to a 1-goal lead.
I've got to just tell you this, Bob, just while we're talking about that goal. Mount Lilydale are now 1-8 points, which was their highest score here at VFL Park prior to tonight.
What I was about to say is that it's great for people like Adidas who do make the moulded sole boots and the screw-in stops of the nylon boots and everything else. But unfortunately, some of the boys, may not have had the moulded sole. They only have the moulded sole boot, and on grounds like this, they really do slip and slide. And maybe Darren Capon might be one of those. And this is why we always say to the youngsters, if you possibly can afford it, if you're going to have the moulded sole boot, you really do need to be able to afford 2 pair of boots, because on a ground like VFL Park tonight, the moulded sole will slip and slide everywhere, where, if you can change straight into your nylon sole boots, then you'll hold your footing quite well.
Well, you would have thought there might have been an infringement there, because Waibenga went straight through his opposite number in Sotco. The ball coming in again. Waibenga using his height, getting the fist to the ball. not a lot of placement, and we'll have a free kick going the way of Mount Lilydale College. Ball back towards the centre of the ground, in the back, and it will go to Battolini. Battolini right on the VFL Park logo, which is the true wing position here at VFL Park. Kicks it high. Here comes the bounce. Infringement back there, and I think it might have a pound.
Penalised the side on that occasion because
they had the run on going,
he had the run of the ball and was going in. But nonetheless, we find pound. A nice kick up towards the full forward area. Up high from behind, we saw West. He punched the ball down. Ball thrown out almost out of the pack. Taken and picked up there by Gannon. No, it's not Gannon, it's the opposition. It's D'Angelo. You get confused this time early in the season, Steve.
And early in the evening.
So a boundary throwing to take place in the forward pocket from Mount Lilydale High. And Weezer up high, got the ball down. It should be a free kick to the opposition, and so we'll find down there in the forward pocket, it looks like on that occasion, I think Chapman. Chapman's kick up towards the centre, no mark taken. Tapped out wide, Tripodi couldn't take it. It's tapped on again by D'Angelo. This time Wybenga's there, and he's held. We're not in possession of the ball, so the big fella will have the opportunity of putting it forward. Let's hope he disposes of it a little bit better than his earlier kick.
Bob, when that Mount Lilydale got thrashed out here by Ringwood High back in 1979, they had 2 footballers, tennis players, basketballers and ballet dancers, and they've used the video of that game every year to show the football team just what humiliation they suffered that night, and they've really improved. They got through to the second round in 80, the third round in 1981 and the third round again last year. And they're doing a pretty good job tonight. But here's the opportunity now, and it's Donald running into an open goal.
He should have run into the open goal.
Well, he ran in. You couldn't run much further, but I suppose tomorrow morning he was lying in bed, he would have wished he had it.
He had all of the goal square, and you can take that extra bit, as we see the scoreboard now on 3 points at Cranbourne High, with Mount Lilydale on 1 goal 2. Ball to be put back into play by Sebastian Meyer, and a nice mark taken by Dart. Matthew Dart, Cranbourne High, on the half-forward flank at the present stage. A nice kick slightly off the side of the boot, in the front position, almost taking the mark and gathering it in well, very close to the boundary line. We see it punched back by David Loy, and it's taken away and put across to Aloy. Aloy right in the back pocket, wanting to get the ball moving in a hurry. You saw the loose man, and a well-placed kick. It could have been a little bit dangerous, but a good mark taken by McDonald.
I don't think McDonald was too impressed. De Kretz has crunched him. McDonald. That's a lovely looking torpedo. Dropped the ball right onto the boot. The run on comes on now. McMahon got the ball over to Dite. Dite's kick high, the bounce. Good play down there by the Cranbourne defence. Capon making up for that dreadful kick-off before. There'll be a bounce around the centre half forward position. We've been playing over 17 minutes. The rain a little heavier here at VFL Park. McDonald gets the ball away, and Cranbourne defend. The ball goes to Chapman, can't pick it up. Good play by Mount Lilydale to get it away from him. The umpire says no opportunity. We'll have a bounce here at centre half forward for Mount Lilydale High School, or Mount Lilydale College, my apologies. Into attack Mount Lilydale again. In the front position was Barden, and West manages to clear the ball towards the boundary line, over the line, and we'll have a throw in between the forward pocket and half forward flank on that outer side of the ground. Not a lot of spectators braving the rain out in the open. Quite a few up under the stands.
Do you blame them, Steve?
We'll have to go out there later. Okay, with the ball we've got Dite. Pushes it along. Chapman makes it difficult for him. An awkward looking kick towards the boundary line. Very awkward looking kick from Cranbourne. And Dalglish, that's Peter Dalglish, the brother of Andrew. Right by the Sterling sign. We'll have another player, thank you very much. Finley, I think it might have been. Kicks it up high, goes to Wybenga. He can't hold the ball. Hazen Donk is in there. Here's the opportunity again. Looks like McDonald onto the left foot, smothered. Picked up by Craven. Kicks it high. Oh. 22 is Cleary. He manages to get the ball away, and we see Bolton around on the left foot. over to Tony D'Angelo. Mount Lilydale doing a fair job in this first quarter in pretty awkward conditions. They just haven't made the most of their scoring opportunities as Cox gets the ball around on his right foot, around towards Dite. Coming through now is Andawisa. Left foot pass, finds a teammate.
Lovely pass.
And he finds McMahon. McMahon plays on straight away and finds a teammate who drops the ball. And Battolini spoils a nice piece of play. Good play there by Andrew Dalglish. Puts it towards the boundary line on his right foot, which is his wrong foot. And we'll have a throw in. Nice passage of play, Bob, in these conditions, spoiled by what was a pretty simple mark.
Yes, I'm sure Alloy agrees with you too. On the throw in. Wide Bangor up high, couldn't get the ball clear. Finley's there. Finley gets a push in the back actually, and so he gets a free kick for a trip. And so Finley plays on. Beautifully dummies around, but there's the siren to end the first term of the Herald Shield with Cranbourne High 3 points, trailing Mount Lilydale College 1 goal to 8 points. The Herald Shield with Cranbourne High trailing by 3 points. That is their score, 3 points. So they're trailing by 5 points with Mount Lilydale on 1 goal to 8. And Cranbourne High 3 points. And the umpire about to put the ball down, and so is the rain coming down once again. Too many players in the centre square, and so the free kick goes the way of Cranbourne High, and we find to put the ball forward Ken Garvey. Garvey going straight down the ground, almost effective as the mark was dropped on that occasion by Peter Donald. He couldn't gain possession, forces the ball forward. No one can get the ball clear, and it could easily be a free kick going the way of Cranbourne High. It is, and we find Wayne Gannon coming out with the ball within kicking distance. He's only 35 metres out from goal, directly in front, so he'll have the opportunity of making it 1 point the difference if he can put the ball through for the first goal to Cranbourne High. Off the side of the boot, so much so in fact that it's out of bounds on the full.
Plenty of opportunities wasted by Cranbourne High in the first quarter. Mount Lilydale College did have most of the play and only managed 1 goal from their 3 scoring opportunities.
It's bad, Steve, that the play had to come back because that kick from down there reached the wing.
We'll see how many kicks it takes to get back. There's one. As we said before, Mount Lilydale have had a rather odd training build-up to this game. They've been training around the sheep. They've got 2,500 sheep adjusting on their oval, and as their coach Mick Noonan said beforehand, it's hard training on ball bearings.
And I would like to say thank you to Mick Noonan for popping up before the game and letting us know just a few details about what was going on with the side. This time Tripodi puts the ball forward for Cranbourne High, straight down the ground, outnumbered, but it comes over the back towards the player there. A quick snap at goal. It's offline from Michael Chapman, and so we find only 1 point going on the board. The second kick by Michael Chapman, and he's not a bad size for 14 years of age, Steve. No, Chapman is 16. I'm sorry, I'm looking at the wrong one.
I'm glad I didn't comment, then his mother might have rung up. Anyway, let's have a look at the kick out now. Kicking out the first quarter from Capon, not all that good, but that one, a nice pass, couldn't really hold the mark. It was Donald with the ball, and the ball finally being tapped over the line by Meyer, and we'll have a throw in. As we explained before, Mount Lilydale in the blue with the gold stripes, Cranbourne in the maroon. And the rain continues to fall here at VFL Park. Ball on the ground, conditions very awkward.
I did say thank you to Michael Noonan of Mount Lilydale for coming up, Steve, but thank you also to Cranbourne High School for the details on the players, such as what year they're in at school and how old the boys are. And it is a help. It gives you some idea of just the potential of these particular players. And right now we see the ball knocked back there by Cleary, and it was Cleary I was thinking of, who is 14 years of age. But right now it's with Craven, and this time the ball to be put wide by Andrew Craven. Knocked forward down there by the captain of Cranbourne High, and that's young Grant Matthews. He leaves it for De Kretzner. He got one too high. Got another one also.
He played for that too.
The boys are getting the temper's a little bit frayed, and right down there we see Alloy, and he should calm himself because he's cost a 15-metre penalty and put the player De Kretzner well in scoring range now.
Yes, de Kretz, a very canny play there, kept the ball tapped along on the ground in front of him, just waiting for someone to run into him. Very hard to stop out there at the moment, as Bob said, probably with those moulded soled boots on. Lines up very carefully indeed. A lovely looking kick, straight through the middle.
It's a beautiful goal by Chad de Kretz.
An object lesson there, Bob. Eye on the ball, head over the ball, very carefully put the ball onto the boot. And the result, Cranbourne High go to 1-4-10, Mount Lilydale 1-2-8.
Yes, it's amazing, Steve, just how much confidence a goal can give a side. And they went right through the first term without a goal on the board, only having the 3 points, but it didn't take them long, 3.5 minutes. And so we now find them in front, 2 points the margin between the sides. A good piece of shepherding down there, allows the ball to be put high in the air by Darren Urquhart. Urquhart's kick couldn't be marked down there by the opposite side in Hazendonk. Yeah, Hazendonk couldn't get the ball clear, and diving after it was Alloy. Oh, beautiful piece of play on that occasion. And Dalgleish, it looks like, coming through the centre, puts the left foot forward, and waiting at the back we saw Matthews, taps the ball on towards his teammate. He can't get the ball clear though, Loy. The ball comes back to Matthews again, puts it up. There's a player waiting down there, all on his own. An easy mark taken down there, and on the last line it could be Harvey, not Harvey, Chapman I should say.
You're always the ones you don't like, the ones you've got to sit there and wait for while the front line's about to run through you.
So Michael Chapman showed a lot of courage to stand his ground. He's already kicked 3 points. Can he put his first goal on the board? Yes, he can.
You're right, Bob. The confidence Cranbourne got from de Kretz's goal. And now Chapman, 2 quick goals in 2 minutes. They didn't score a goal in the first quarter. Cranbourne High 2-4-16, doubled Mount Lilydale College's score of 1-2-8.
This young Matthews doing a good job to get the ball out on a couple of occasions there to his teammates. Good leadership there.
Bob, I would think that for the kids from both schools would be a real treat to be playing out here at VFL Park. Very lush, the ground. And after some of the training conditions they'd be used to, be like concrete.
Yes, I think there'd be far more food on the ground here for the sheep than it is at Mount Lilydale at the moment.
Yes, smorgasbord. Ball going out there towards the boundary. Finally, it's Hazendonk in there. Number 15 is Carlson. Number 6 urging them on is Hermans.
David Carlson has just come on the ground as an interchange player.
Ball going down there. Scoring opportunity for Mount Lilydale. Ball is pushed away. Finally, it's Dalgleish with the handball. Got caught on his wrong foot. Ball goes over the boundary line for another throw-in on the half-forward flank. I think we've just lost some of our lighting down here on the ground. Wait for the throw-in. Number 1 in the blue is Sotko, and he's up against Garvey. Here's the opportunity for Mount Lilydale. Unable to hold the ball then. Ball pushed out by Capon. Good handball across to Pound, who kicked the only goal for Mount Lilydale. The ball pushed over the line. We'll have the throw-in. We're only about 25 metres around from the goals now. Mount Lilydale College, 1-2-8, equalling their highest score in this competition out here at VFL Park. Bit of pushing and shoving there. The umpire has said there will be a free kick. It'll go Mount Lilydale's way, and I think it might be the skipper. Sotko with the ball. Let's have a look how he kicks. Looks for the pass. Tapped down by Matthews. Squeezing through there on the ground was Cox. And the umpire will come in and bounce directly in front of goal. The Mulgrave Freeway end of the ground. Nice bounce. Finally pushed to the ground. There was Urquhart in there. Massive players, finding the conditions very difficult. Thrown out. Sutko gets the ball, tries to put it onto his boot. He's slung to the ground. Tapped out then by Barden. Just the ball on the ground. We've got an in-the-back decision. It is going to Hazendonk. Hazendonk, a shocking pass, a billiards-type pass, and that is surely holding the man.
Well, good lesson there for young Hazendonk. Unless a player is 100% clear, you really have to drive the ball right out of the last danger line.
Because now here's the scoring opportunity for Mount Lilydale.
And Louisa putting the ball right up into the goal square. It's stumped through there by Chapman, and so 1 point to Mount Lilydale College, forced through there by Michael Chapman of Cranbourne High.
7 points the difference, 16-9 favouring Cranbourne High. Kick out by Capon. Straight down to centre half forward. Plenty of backing up there by Cranbourne High. Matthews is in there. Rides the bump nicely. The ball comes out again. No one able to pick it up. The ball just sliding from hand to hand and then onto the ground. Dalglish is in there, a very strong player, number 3. Very strongly built lad. And we'll have another bounce. We're about 35 to 40 metres out, directly in front of the Mount Lilydale goals. Ball kicked up towards goal. Will the bounce beat them? No, and Capon punches the ball through for Mount Lilydale to go to 1-4-10. They trail Cranbourne High by 1 straight kick.
Capon again to put the ball into play.
Obviously told to kick longer, Bobby.
A better kick. Craven couldn't take the mark. Kicks the ball off the ground, goes after it again, loses possession. Alloy puts the ball over the boundary line, so a throwing to take place on the half-forward flank. We're 9.5 minutes almost into the second term of the Herald Shield, and it's Cranbourne High 2-4, leading Mount Lilydale College 1-4. The throw-in, too high for all players. Didn't judge it very well at all. Hand pass over the top, taken by Sotko. Sotko puts the ball high in the air, slightly off the side of the boot, but it's an effective kick. Good attempt to mark by Barton. He couldn't get the ball clear, though. A great piece of defensive work to tap the ball wide. Going after is Tripodi. He kicks the ball off the ground, and the throwing to take place midway between half-forward flank and forward pocket for Mount Lilydale High.
Well, when Barton went up then, he made position nicely and held the... Just might have been a bit unfortunate the ball was a bit slippery. Seemed to do it pretty nicely.
Free kick going the way of Mount Lilydale High. And we find Battleline. Half-forward flank. No, it's Cox. And he saw the 5. So Cox puts in a nice kick forward. Strong defensive work down there. It should have been a free kick going the way of Carlson, but he wasn't paid. A quick kick there from Cox. Goes straight to West. West played on, and by possibly a little slow with the whistle, and therefore I think should have given him the benefit of the doubt and called it back. But it's now play on as we find Finley putting the ball forward. A diving attempt to mark couldn't be taken. It's picked up and a quick hand pass down there by McMahon, or Hermes, I should say. No, it is McMahon. I'm looking at the wrong side once again, Steve. Picked it right the first time. McMahon, a good piece of play. It's put forward by McDonald, thumped away down there in defence by Capon. The ball almost picked up by Battleline. Strong play down there by big number 19, and that is Dalglish. Peter Dalglish got the ball wide. Comes back now towards the little fellow in Battleline. Straightens up. Puts it through for 1 point.
Once again, Mount Lilydale College in this second term here at VFL Park are having plenty of opportunities, but the slippery conditions and perhaps a little lack of match practice is costing them dearly. Capon with the ball, favouring the longer kick, the left foot drop punt, high out towards the half-back flank. Plenty of Cranbourne players there, finally cleared by Hermans. Hermans has kicked it out towards Cleary out there on the wing. Has time to run around his opponent. Plenty of left footers in this side from Cranbourne, and finds a teammate down there in De Kretzer. De Kretzer, nice use of the ball, gets it over to Donald. Donald plays on straight away, finds the pass again, and it's De Kretzer. Very intelligent player, De Kretzer. And
beautiful play, wasn't it?
Lovely, set it up nicely, gets the ball across to Dart, and he's got a heavy knee bandage on, or some sort of knee support on there, De Kretzer. One wonders how serious it is, because he's been in all the play, used his brains, and now Dart has the opportunity to finish it up, puts it straight through. Goal number 3 for Cranbourne High. They move to 3-4, 22, Mount Lilydale 1-5-11.
It was a lovely goal there by Matthew Dart, but it was set up. It was a team effort on that occasion. We saw a number of the Cranbourne High boys in amongst the play. I think it started with Craven and then Cleary, and De Kretzer was very impressive, mainly because of the way he moved down the ground after first delivering the ball. Went on and took it back again, and first with the right foot, then with the left foot.
Bob, they've obviously taken a quarter to get the feel of the game again this year. And it's Tripodi trying to pick the ball up. If they can keep up with the short passes rather than perhaps the handball on this wet night, they might do better. Ball down there again. Here's the opportunity again for Cranbourne to add to that score. Coming through then is Alloy, number 9. Can't pick it up. The ball finally forced towards Craven. Craven takes his time, looks for a player down there, and is lucky enough to find one. It's Donald. Donald kicks towards goal offline, and the ball through for behind. 23 plays 11. 13 minutes into the second quarter of this Herald Shield match between Cranbourne High and Mount Lilydale College.
Well, fine rain still falling on the ground at the moment, Steve, and it really does make it awkward for the players, particularly as we've said, even though they may have done a lot of training so far this year, not much of it at all would be in the wet.
No, we're on a good ground like this. Probably very awkward to get their handballing going tonight. It's Matthews with the ball, the skipper of Cranbourne High. He's within kicking range, takes his time as the rain increases in tempo. Let's have a look at Matthews' kick. Short. Hit the post. One behind Cranbourne High. 3-6-24. Lead Mount Lilydale by 13 points.
Wouldn't have been a goal anyway, Steve, because it was touched off the hands
by 14 people, so...
Short pass coming out from full-back. The kick was effective, but the mark wasn't. Could lose the possession as Loy gets it down. Coming through and trying to get the ball away was Meyer. Tapped down there by Dalgleish. He goes after it, slips at the vital moment, and the ball goes over the boundary line. So a throwing to take place, still in the forward pocket for Cranbourne High.
I don't think any of the parents of the boys from Mount Lilydale College would be too upset at seeing this rain. A lot of them from the bushfire areas, up around Warburton. And the rain, let's hope it's a forerunner of plenty more here this season. Except on Tuesday nights and Saturdays.
Here, Steve.
Except on Tuesday nights and Saturdays.
Yes.
Mount Lilydale back into attack, back towards the centre of the ground. All Cranbourne High, and the mark being taken by Garvey. Garvey, the ruckman, back into play. Here's the opportunity for Matthews. He can't get to the ball in time. Matthews again with the ball. Just a little quick, that was Dalgleish earlier, but it always happens. Finally, it's Loy. Loy towards goal, and a lovely mark taken down there by Quilty, I think. Quilty out towards the boundary line, looking for McDonald. McDonald very slow. Finally gets rid of it. Finds a teammate. Very slow indeed out there on those big flanks. And the ball smothered off the boot by Cranbourne. Coming through is Sotko. The man who did the smothering was Carlson. The ball, no free kick there, perhaps a little unlucky.
Yes, I think Sotko would have been given a free kick by R.J. Skilton.
It was a little bit around the neck and in the back. The ball down. An awkward bounce. Won't hold that against the umpires tonight. Matthews off the ground. Garvey. There's a headlock applied, and the umpire comes in and says, we'll bounce.
The bounce to take place on the half-forward flank for Cranbourne High. It's 24 points to 11. So it's a 13-point margin as Garvey gets the ball down to Gannon. And Gannon across to Matthews. Matthews, well, he was really tackled well. It was a free kick. He was grabbed by the shoulder, but nonetheless, it did prevent Matthews from going on. A foolish piece of play now. We see two 15-metre penalties, and that's not good to give a 30-metre penalty to a player. Garvey going for the Matthews going for the short pass, was looking for De Kretzer, has the ball taken away for him. There's a free kick. This time will go the way of Mount Lilydale College, and looks like the big fellow in McDonald.
McDonald showing a little bit of wear and tear after that last confrontation. He's been doing a good job though tonight. Let's have a look at this kick. Not long. Scrappy play down there, and the umpire comes in and will bounce. We've been playing 17 and a half minutes into this second quarter. The Herald Shield. Finlay unable to get the ball away. Dart kicked a goal earlier. Ball towards the boundary line. Over it goes, and we'll have another throw in. Been plenty of boundary action tonight for these umpires. 2.5 minutes to go in this second quarter. Bob, a number of the fellows from Cranbourne are very young indeed. It's in fact, I think there were probably 3 or 4 14-year-olds and plenty of 15-year-olds in the side.
No, of the 14-year-olds, Steve, they're sitting on the fence watching, with the exception of number 22. And here he is, talk of the devil. He's over the top of the ball now, and he is a big boy for 14 nonetheless. Lost possession of the ball on that occasion. The free kick going against Alloy. He was held when in possession of the ball. So the free kick will go to the opposition. We find West putting it across now to Mark Hermans, and so Hermans, the short pass, looking for Dalgleish. couldn't take the mark. Oh, it's well taken then by Barden. A quick hand pass out. Dalglish, a beautiful play to knock it up to Tripodi. Tripodi off the side of the boot, up towards his half-forward flank. Mark couldn't be taken. Frazzini comes in from Mount Lilydale. He's beaten for the ball on that occasion. Gannon puts it forward. A short kick from Gannon. Could easily be a free kick to Mount Lilydale College, and that's the way it is. So we see once again McDonald with the free kick. McDonald up towards the centre of the ground. No mark, taken by Andoiza. Andoiza couldn't get the ball to boot. He still forces the ball in front of him. Coming across, Wester taps the ball forward. A hand pass across to Battleline from Pound. And it wasn't from Pound, it was from another player in Urquhart. The centre half forward there in Dyke got the hand pass in. Desperate play though, puts him under a lot of trouble. The hand pass comes out towards Alloy. Strong defensive work there, and a free kick comes out of that. Good, courageous football on that occasion by Pierre Hazendonk.
Hazendonk finishes it off with a nice long kick. Mark underneath, almost taken by Urquhart. Finally it's Craven who gets the ball. Good play there. And here's a chance for Cranbourne to finish off a very good quarter. The ball going up forward. Slippery play. Cleary unable to, Loy unable to grab the ball. Loy again with it high towards the goal square. Ball tapped to the ground, kick off the ground by Donald. The umpire runs in and said we'll have a free kick. There are hands very close to the ball then as Donald kicked the ball off the ground. And there's the siren for half-time, just a second or two short of the matrix screen timer, and Cranbourne High 3-6-24 lead Mount Lilydale College 1-5-11. About to get underway with Cranbourne High 3-6-24 leading Mount Lilydale 1-5-11. The ball goes down. Heavy rain is still continuing to fall here at VFL Park. In fact, if anything, Bobby, it's got heavier.
I was just thinking to myself, Steve, that during half-time I felt that it had eased quite a bit, and Dalglish coming out from the back there, a mark missed by Cleary, but you can't help it in these conditions. We saw there Frazzina trying to get the ball away, then did get the hand pass in, tapped up by Waibenga, picked up in fine style down there by the Lilydale College boy in John D'Angelo. He gave away a free kick, and so we'll see, and it looks like Dalglish.
If anything, Bob, I think before it was just a drizzle. Now it's quite heavy rain. And the ball going towards the boundary line.
Yes, but as we said earlier, Steve, I'm sure that not even the players out on the ground at the moment would complain. It's unfortunate that it couldn't wait till tomorrow night, but we certainly have needed the rain that's coming down right now.
Mount Lilydale College going back towards the centre of the ground. Almost trapped there. Off the ground, that's the way at this stage of the evening. Pushed forward by Battolini, again by Battolini. In the back, no, says the umpire. It's Alloy, in fact, who is doing the giving the Bobby Charlton demonstration. He pushes it towards the boundary line, and we'll have a throw in. We're about a half-forward flank from Mount Lilydale College. Obviously the scoring end of the ground. They've had plenty of opportunities, Mount Lilydale, and yet they're probably pretty lucky to be within 13 points of Cranbourne, who put on a very, very good second quarter indeed, in which they kicked 3-3 to 3 points. Let's have a look at this ruck duel again between Waibenga and Sotko. Pushed forward there by Dart. Here's the opportunity now for Barden. Quickly to boot by Battolini.
Free kick goes away there of McDonald.
Big boy Brad McDonald too.
McDonald around about, well, virtually centre half forward, not quite in the dead centre half forward position, midway between centre half forward and the flank, but across the half forward line at the moment. A nice kick from McDonald over the drop punt. Good effort there by, looked like Andoiza. Good play by Carlson. Couldn't get the ball clear though. Desperate football. Snapped over the shoulder. It's a beautiful goal down there. A great piece of play. And I'm not quite certain who kicked it. I can see him coming towards us at the moment. Was it Battleline or Power? Pound, I should say. Pound it was.
Pound, who's now kicked both Mount Lilydale College's goals. And there's the scoreboard. Mount Lilydale 2-5-17. Coming back strongly against Cranbourne High 3-6-24.
I'll only repeat, Steve, what I said during the second term. and it's amazing what a lift a goal can give. And
Silly play there.
I really cannot understand, particularly in schoolboy football. It's even worse, I believe, than in the seniors when you're desperately maybe trying to use some tactics. You just should not run into the centre square and give away a free kick. It's just too easy to give away a free kick in that manner.
Plenty of roughhouse tactics going on down here at the moment and not very effective. Here's Dalglish, very strong play, pushes his opponent away, has time to have a close look. The pass going across to Chapman. Chapman making a mess of it, and the ball finally going over the boundary line on the full. We'll have a free kick going to Andawisa.
Chapman in that situation should have had a quick look, and he could have given the hand pass back to Dalglish after Chapman had missed the mark, and another mark missed on that occasion. Cleary puts the ball through, and Lloyd comes out. He would get the free kick for pushing the back anyway, and so we'll find Lloyd.
Bobby, just distracting you for a minute while Lloyd lines up. We've got a Mount Lilydale player coming off. He's got his knee very heavily strapped, and he looks fairly distressed, but we'll have a bit more on that in just a second.
But it's Lloyd lining up. There's no worries about the distance nor the accuracy, so it's a goal to Lloyd. David Lloyd.
Good answering goal. The first goal scored at that Mulgrave Freeway end of the ground tonight. And Cranbourne High now lead by 13 points, 30 to 17. Yes, Bob, just distracting you away from Lloyd as he lined up. One of the youngsters from Mount Lilydale College had taken a heavy knock. I couldn't quite pick up his number, but he was carrying a fair bit of strapping on the knee. It's the ball back in the centre. Benga goes for an awkward-looking punch. It's finally Pound, a very effective player tonight, who gets the kick down. Very poor performance there put up by Finlay, who misses an easy mark.
I disagree with you there, Steve. I thought Finlay should have been given the free kick.
I thought he should have taken the mark.
Well, it was touched by the player in front of him.
I apologise.
He wasn't trying to have one of our little friendly arguments at all, but I thought Finlay did a great job on that occasion as it comes up to Dalglish, and he's started to show that little touch of class.
I was just thinking that down the other end of the ground, his disposal and his strength should be pretty telling in this second half, and if he has been training with Hawthorn, their demon trainers, his fitness should be pretty telling.
Tripodi got the ball forward. He comes out now and trying to get the ball up is Donald, and could easily have been given the free kick there. He might get one now as he's held when not in possession of the ball. And so Peter Donald, who has put two minor scores on the board, kicks straight into the man on the mark. It goes out towards Sotko. Hand pass over the top from Sotko towards Frazina. He, I thought, kept the ball in play. It was a good attempt by young Frazina he knew that he was right on the boundary line, tapped the ball back, but unfortunately it didn't stay in play.
Bob, I know that handball's a major part of modern football, but on a night like this, would you be telling your boys to handball?
Yes, I think you've still got to go through the basics of football, and if a player's in position, then you can try and get the handball out to him just the same as if it's dry. I really, don't believe that you do silly handball. You don't try and be fancy, but if the player is in position, then you do still try and play the North Orthodox football. In any football, as we see it put through for a point to Cranbourne High, in any football there is one thing the players have to realise, and that is A, you've got to beat the ball first, and B, you must attack the ball regardless of the conditions. The quicker you get to it, the less chance that there is of bouncing over your head, whatever it might be.
Just as we watch Meyer kick off and find McDonald, I just wondered, because I looked at it tonight and the handballing has been very poor. The short passing has set up the goals.
I think this has been more a case of the execution of the handball. The opportunities have been there, but the skills tonight, and as we've said on a number of occasions tonight, they haven't. These boys, right throughout this year, wouldn't have experienced anything like what they're playing in. As Waibenga puts the ball up towards the forward pocket, it bounces just before Chapman can get to the ball, goes over the boundary line, and we can see there. It's a beautiful shot on our screen of just how the rain is pelting down at the present moment.
Yes, the drought has certainly broken here at VFL Park, and Cranbourne High 4-7 are leading Mount Lilydale 2-5. It's the first good rain I can remember for some time, and it's very nice indeed. As McDonald with the ball, he's been a very effective player. Beautiful torpedo back towards centre half forward. Can't find his man, however. Ball on the ground. as it has been for much of this evening.
Steve, I couldn't help but be impressed the way young Cleary stood his ground on that occasion. Didn't take the mark, but showed tremendous courage to at no stage take his eyes off the ball, stood his ground, and that was courage.
Finally, it's Sotko, and we'll have a free kick. And it will go to Dalglish. I should think Dalglish going back claiming it. The umpire not sure what's happening. Dalglish, indeed it will be Andrew Dalglish. Number 3, the vice-captain of the Cranbourne High team.
This is where you do not fiddle around with the short passes that aren't there. You go for the long kick straight down the ground, over the back towards Matthews. He couldn't gather the ball in. It's put out of the defensive zone, and we find it going over the boundary line, not on the full. So there we see the boundary umpire coming across, and he will be midway between the back pocket or the forward pocket and the half-forward flank. Young De Quetzer, Chad De Quetzer with the cramp, and it's not unusual. We've made many comments through the years of the number of young players who get the cramp in these early games because they just, they're playing cricket at school at the present moment. They really these boys probably have not had a game of football together, and they certainly wouldn't have the fitness that's required to play, particularly on a ground like VFL Park.
I think young De Quetzer would be very glad it's not his knee, because he's come out with a heavy knee bandage, and he's lying there and getting some assistance from his teammates as the ball goes back in. Good gutsy play there from Cranbourne High. Looks like Dart throwing himself right in. The ball will be bounced just on the Mount Lilydale side of the centre wing. Mount Lilydale again looks as though it was smothered off the boot. The umpire says no. Sounded very much to me as if hands had been laid on the ball, but anyway, we're going to see West kick the ball in from the free kick.
A couple of goal advantage under these conditions, Steve. It's nice to be in front when you've got circumstances like this, because it really is hard to pick up. As we see Finlay, I think the umpire must have said that he played on after taking that mark, and again a little bit harsh under these circumstances, but nonetheless we find the free kick going to Battleline, so you could say that it's all square.
Ball back down towards the scoring zone for Mount Lilydale, intercepted this time by Cranbourne High, over towards the boundary line. This one will be hard to pick up, beats all the players over. Craven was next in line, and we'll have a throw in. 10 minutes into this third quarter here at VFL Park. Cranbourne High by 14 points over Mount Lilydale. And we'll see Sotko and Waibenga, as they've been all night. Here's a chance for Barden. Gets it out to Alloy, up high. No one able to take the mark. It's on the ground, Stacks on the mill, and the umpire says we'll take a free kick. In the back, going to Matthews. Oh, poor kick into the man on the mark. In action again, it's Battolini. Another chance, good opportunity for Mount Lilydale. If they can pick the ball up, they can't. Barden trying to kick it off the ground unsuccessfully. Donald in there. Finally, it's Hazen Donk who kicks the ball off the ground. More opportunities for Mount Lilydale. Spoiling each other rather than anything constructive coming out of it. Finally picked up, kicked high towards goal by Urquhart, and the ball going over the boundary line. Not much help there, Bob. Everyone racing in rather than any shepherding or anything constructive.
Yes, that was the occasion where a little piece of talking from teammates around. The players around the boy going for the ball have to be the eyes and talk to him and let him know he's on his own. As we see again, Pound snapped the ball over the shoulder. Doesn't make the distance. It's punched down towards the goal square. Kicked off the ground by West. It goes, it bounces just before the boundary line. Alloy looking for the free kick, but the boundary umpire was in perfect position to see that it bounced just before the line. So a throw-in to take place, still in the forward pocket for Mount Lilydale. Mount Lilydale desperately trying to put a goal on the board. They're only a couple of goals down, or 14 points to be exact at this stage, but a tackle too high on that occasion. I think it may have been West coming out there from the back pocket. So we find West, a poor kick into the man on the mark. No, it wasn't West, it was Carlson. Carlson kick a poor one, and we see players slipping and sliding in these conditions. Pound couldn't get the ball clear. He does tap the ball back. The umpire has blown his whistle, I think, to indicate that he felt that they had plenty of time to get the ball out. Under these circumstances, they didn't have much chance, and that's exactly what the umpire gave them, a chance to clear it. As Sotko puts the ball high in the air, Finlay has tackled well, and coming in again, the ball close to the boundary line. It's kept in play. A quick hand pass, good play down there, and a strong defence as we find Craven coming in. He's tackled one way and the other, gets a hand pass in towards the boundary line. The umpire must have declared it a hand pass. It's right on the boundary line. And,
he'll be playing for the Wallabies next year, young Craven, if he keeps hand passing like that.
Umpire having a word to a couple of the players. Dalglish saying to Hayes and Donk, get out of the way, pick up your man. Tapped down by Sotko. Sotko across now towards Battergleen. He couldn't pick the ball up. Was no fault of his. He tried to kick the ball off the ground, actually. Hayes and Donk coming out again. Kicks it off the ground. Gets it out towards Tripodi, leading in the race for the ball. He kicks it over the boundary line. Umpire may give it against him for deliberate, but no, he's going to allow the conditions to prevail, and so a throw-in to take place.
We're only about 30 metres around from the goals, the Mount Lilydale goals. It's Sotko who gets the ball down but can't get it to anyone in particular. Malley of players. Finally, it's Cranbourne get the ball out. Here's the opportunity now for Mount Lilydale through Alloy. Up high into the forward pocket. Anyone there? No. Ball back down to the ground. Kicked by Battolini towards goal, and ball dropped. The last line of defence. Good play though by Cranbourne. Pushing the ball on. It's Matthews, the skipper. Hand pass. It's an awkward hand pass. And the ball going towards the boundary line, and unfortunately over the line by Finlay. We'll have a throw in.
Matthews may have been better off dropping the mark on that occasion, because he finished up forcing the ball, I think, further than he would have kicked it anyway.
The ball down this time. Kicked high back towards centre half forward. Opportunity there. Good mark taken by Battolini. He's about 25, 30 metres out from goal. Tonight it'll look like 55 metres with the heavy football. That player who we were looking for before off the ground was Alloy. The kick offline, through for behind. Mount Lilydale wasting opportunities. 2-6-18. Trail Cranbourne High by 13 points. Cranbourne High 4-7-31. Waiting now for Capon to kick the ball out. We've been playing just over 15 minutes in this third quarter here at VFL Park. The rain easing just a fraction, but still falling pretty heavily. And the pass going out to Hayes and Donk. His kick, woeful, into the man on the mark. He doubles up, recovers, kicks towards the boundary line and towards Barden, who can't do anything with it. It's Chapman on the left foot. Around, opportunity there for Frasina. Frasina nudges Cleary, clean in the back. Cleary clear, yes. And back towards the wing position. Finally picked up well. Here's the opportunity for Mount Lilydale yet again. The pass is a beauty. Looks like Alloy. Alloy with the kick. And a nice mark taken down there by Finlay. Finlay, a good opportunity. He's only 25 metres out. The rain easing even more. Finlay coming in with a torpedo. Straight through the middle. That's the one they wanted. Mount Lilydale, 3-6-24. They trail Cranbourne High by just 7 points now, 16 and a half minutes into this third quarter. And Bob, nice little mark under pressure.
Oh, great mark, really, Steve. In these conditions, he judged the ball perfectly, backed right into his opponent, and made sure that his opponent couldn't get the arm over the shoulder to punch the ball away. And Danny Finlay judged it perfectly. 7
points the difference, nearly 17 minutes. This main matrix scoreboard end here at VFL Park doing the scoring in. I think only one goal scored against it all night.
And big fellow, Waibenga off the ground, and kind of back again. A desperate attempt there by Urquhart to try and get the ball out. Coming through and putting the ball down is Gannon. Gannon's long kick. No mark taken, but it's all Cranbourne High as Craven runs into the opposition. Then goes on, tackles again. Should get the short kick over the top. Couldn't kick with the left foot, though, as we saw De Kretzer calling for the ball right in the goal square. But unfortunately, young Craven could not. De Kretzer there was calling for the ball in perfect position. You can see he's got the clamp. But unfortunately, young Craven obviously cannot kick with the left foot.
I was just worrying what would have happened if it had got to De Kretzer, because he couldn't move either. Here's the opportunity for Craven again. Little snowy Craven around back towards the full forward position. De Kretzer flies against his own man, and that was Dart, and the ball's finally picked up by Mayer.
Gannon comes in with the ball, screws the ball back towards the forward area. Coming through is Garvey. He can't get boot to ball though. It's grabbed by Dyke. Dyke couldn't do likewise. Hand pass from Garvey up to Loy. Loy tackled, can't get the ball clear. He was trying to desperately punch the ball away, and we eventually find it come back towards Dalglish, who was probably held not in possession of the ball. Couldn't force his way through the pack, and so we'll find a bounce to take place about 25 metres out from the Cranbourne goal.
Down it goes. Poor bounce. And this fairly, I suppose the conditions will be getting to slightly to the soggy stage now. That's Dyke pushing the ball on, number 17 for Mount Lilydale. That's Craven with the ball now. And we go again. Cox, the ball over towards the boundary line. The umpire picking out a free kick, which should clear up the play a little. And we'll find Cox with the ball. No
doubt it was a free kick against young Craven, but he did well prior to that to get the ball around a couple of players and still keep the ball in play. It's Cox of Mount Lilydale College. Puts the ball over the top, a well-placed kick. A hand pass comes out now towards Urquhart. Urquhart puts it up towards the centre of the ground, knocked on there by McMahon. Sean McMahon couldn't quite get the ball clear though, and we find now West desperately punching the ball forward. McMahon on hands and knees goes after it. Till the moment it's Danny Finlay who kicked the last goal. This time it's nowhere near. It's along the ground. The ball left for Carlson, but it's beaten to him by McMahon. Knocked on again by West. West puts the ball out and Hermans comes after it. Can't handle it cleanly. McMahon comes in for Mount Lilydale College. He's well tackled there by West. The loose ball comes out to Capon. Capon slips as he was about to get boot to the ball, but it's effective. It goes straight to Dalglish. Dalglish dummy, then ran straight past the opponent. Puts a long kick in. Gets it up towards the half-forward line. It'll be a free kick upfield, I feel. And so the free kick will take place on the half-forward line with the Cranbourne High able to go from half-forward. Probably won't get the ball up to the forward area because he's still a long, long way from goal.
Bob, as the siren goes to three-quarter time, 4:7:31, Cranbourne High, Mount Lilydale, 3:6:24. When we come back, we might just talk about young Mr. Dalglish and the effect that under-19 training has on these young players.
The final term of the first game in the Herald Shield for 1983 with Cranbourne High 4:7:31 leading Mount Lilydale on 3:6:24. And there's a shot of just what the players are putting up with at the moment, but as we've said a number of times, we are sure that nobody in Victoria or Melbourne is complaining about that rain that we see right now. The start of play, 7 points, the margin between the sides. Needless to say, it's anybody's game. As we see Dalglish coming over the top, and you were talking at three-quarter time, Steve, and saying what an advantage players who have probably been training with the league side have. And we, as mentioned, Andrew Dalglish in the Peter Crimmins scholarship squad at Hawthorn, and there's every chance that he may have been training with Hawthorn under-19s.
Well, you'd expect him to be substantially fitter. His skills would have been honed a bit more, and he was obviously a gifted player to get in there in the first place. Therefore, you'd expect him to contribute a fair bit tonight. We've seen him in flashes. He's there now, chasing the ball. And
just took his eye off the ball as he was about to gain possession.
He'd probably find it a little difficult playing with some of his teammates who are less talented tonight after a summer playing with guys who have got all the skills.
Well, I must admit, young Stephen McPherson, who incurred the wrath of the umpires on the bushfire relief appeal game, and he got 5 weeks for clashing with Andrew Smith of Collingwood and playing with Chisholm College from Mount Braybrook Ray there. There were many occasions where we felt that McPherson probably could have played a lot better and with a lot more dedication with his school than he did show.
Well, he's got 5 weeks to think about it. Here we see Dalglish again running towards the boundary, and
I do believe though that Dalglish is very close to the best player on the ground tonight, so
sure.
I'm not suggesting that Dalglish hasn't given his school the best of his ability. Possibly on a couple of occasions though he maybe could have put himself in a little bit more, but here he is right now.
Putting himself in, getting a dong on the head.
The left foot of Andrew Dalglish will favour the drop punt up towards the centre wing in the front position, but unable to take the mark, and eventually we see Dyte of Mount Lilydale High forcing the ball forward, gains possession. He's taken away by Gannon. Gannon tackled from behind, lost the ball. It's kicked off the ground by, it looked down there like McDonald. Coming across and gaining possession is Hermans. Hermans puts the ball wide. Craven almost gathered in. He leaves it now for Gannon. Gannon trying to bring the ball in, but the greasy conditions see Dalglish get into it again. Once again, Andrew Dalglish keeping his eye on the ball, getting his body over it, and therefore getting a free kick.
Opting for the short pass, looking for Craven. No one's taken a mark over their head tonight, I don't think. And the ball going towards the boundary line. We'll have a throw in. We've only been playing 2:40 in this final term. Cranbourne High with a very handy 7-point lead. They're kicking to the scoring end of the ground, the big matrix screen here at VFL Park, and the rain continues to fall. That's Garvey chasing it in his hands and knees for Cranbourne. The ball finally being pushed out by Meyer, and we'll have another bounce. The umpire's getting plenty of early season practice on the bouncing here at VFL Park.
Desperate play at the moment, Steve. I think Temper's a little bit frayed.
I think the wet weather, slippery conditions, not helping at all. And that looks like Garvey giving the ball the other way. Sock toe. High kick. The overhead marking. Oh, very lucky indeed if you can get your fingers around the ball tonight. Finally, it's West in there. The glasses, Carlson. Carlson would have needed windscreen wipers throughout most of the evening, yet he's done a reasonable job. Kicked off the ground by John D'Angelo, over towards Chapman. Chapman pushing the ball along cleverly in front of him. Finally tries to get around his opponent. The ball went one way, he went the other, and ended up under the arm of Sotko. Left footer. Not a bad looking kick. And finally it's Dyte. A great mark.
There's the mark of the night.
Hazendonk. Yes, completely obscured, and yet the ball just lobbed straight in his hands. Beautiful torpedo, high, and there's an overhead mark. The first of the night, I'd say, and a good mark indeed, and it's been taken by Garvey. The boot went 45 yards, and the ball went 48 yards. Ball out this time to De Kretzer. Manages to get the ball out, but it goes to Andawisa, and down on the ground is Pound, who's kicked Mount Lilydale's 2 goals. 2 of their 3, I should say. The other being kicked by, I'll just check Bobby's sheet, by Finlay.
So it's Craven coming out with the ball. Almost dropped it on that occasion. Sotko punches it out. Picked up by Dalglish, starring in this quarter. Dalglish gets the hand pass out towards, not hand pass, a short pass out to Tripodi. Tripodi was thinking of giving the hand pass back to Dalglish. Puts the ball right down towards the forward area. Hand pass comes over the top there from O'Connor. It's forced out, and coming after it is Dart. Dart picks the ball up well. The left foot snap back towards goal, across the face. No mark taken. We get the opportunity for Loy. Loy picks it up, loses it. Was tackled possibly too high. A throw according to the umpire. No, he has given the ball the free kick to Loy, so he was tackled too high. And from that position, David Loy with the opportunity of kicking his second goal, and number 5 for Cranbourne High. And if he does that, then the margin will be 13 points between the sides.
As we were saying about young Dalglish, without harping on him, if you would expect him to play well, the second half he should have really started to make use of his fitness.
He certainly has in this term, that's for sure.
Loy lining up, should have absolutely no problems with the distance. He's only 15 metres out. The accuracy, not a worry in the world, and that's goal number 2 to Loy. And the scoreboard shows Cranbourne High moving to 5 goals 7. They're 37. Mount Lilydale 3-6-24 the margin. Once again, 13 points and a pretty handy margin 6 minutes into this final quarter.
I did notice in the press too, Steve, that 8 of the teams that have done well over the last few years in the Herald Shield have a, well, they missed the first couple of rounds and go into the 212 sides, I think, have entered for the Herald Shield this year, and so naturally they can't all play out here at VFL Park. So during the season there are games being played at lots of the schools and so on, but the schools such as Mazenod College, Chisholm College, Assumption College, St Bede's, St Joseph's Geelong, St Joseph's North Melbourne, all go, along with a couple of others, go through into the second and third rounds.
This is a huge competition, and I guess by the time we get to see some of these players, they will have picked the teams with the hardest names.
I do believe that the VFL must be overjoyed to think that there are 212 schools that do want to enter the Herald Shield competition, and it does show just how many of the schools have the interest, and the boys, I know how keen they are to play out here at VFL Park. As Michael O'Connor said the first time, and he is one of the co-coaches of Mount Lilydale High, he said how keen the boys were to get back out here tonight, and even though at the moment they're 13 points down, they certainly haven't been disgraced, and the way they've approached the game, well, tonight's game, as far as the efforts and the endeavour put into it, has been a credit to both sides.
Well, certainly it has been scrappy, but that's been mainly because of the rain. The rain has fallen non-stop throughout the game and made things very difficult indeed. And the ground out here, they're playing on a fairly strange texture, grass. And this fellow out here is just showing off to the family all his credentials. And the ball finally cleared back towards the centre of the ground. That ever happened to you, Bob? You lose your shorts?
Yes, mate.
Did it? Embarrassing or...?
No, not when you've got a game of football on your mind. You can't. You don't worry much at all until the trainer comes out and you get an opportunity.
With a new pair,
and generally they used to. I think the one time I lost mine, they brought out Johnny Sudolphs.
Size 48s. The ball going down. The rain clearing a little bit more. I keep being optimistic. Ball hitting the boundary. Umpire is running backwards. Can't get out of the way.
As you were saying, Steve, I took size 34 and Sudsy took about size 48.
But that's not where it counts, Bob.
A great player for South Melbourne, the old John Sudolphs up there from Bunyip. Desperate play at the moment. They cannot get clear, and so we'll find another throwing to take place on the midway between centre wing and half forward flank.
Oh, aren't they pretty? A new pair. Obviously not an old pair of Johnny Sudholtz's, but he's got a nice tight pair. Just a bit baggy around the thighs.
Free kick going the way of Garvey. Garvey, a poor kick, slipped as he was about to get boot to the ball. Tripodi pushed his opponent in the back. It's kicked off the ground by Barden. Missed down there by McDonald. Kicked off the ground again by Garvey. Frazina comes across. He's a beautiful piece of shepherding there for Frazina by D'Angelo. Frazina's long kick over the half-forward line, coming out to meet the ball, but getting an awkward bounce. We saw down there in Urquhart, was tapped away there by West, and was bad luck for Urquhart. He led to the ball, but then couldn't get it to clear. Could easily have been a free kick going to Finlay. He follows it on again, kicks it off the ground. It comes across towards Hermans. Hermans couldn't gather the ball in. Again, we see Urquhart. He gets a push in the back, but it's no free kick forthcoming, and eventually the umpire deciding that he'll bounce the ball forward pocket from Mount Lilydale, desperately trying to get back into the play with a 13-point deficit facing them.
The ball down. Another chance for Mount Lilydale here. The ball running into goal. Good defensive play there by Cranbourne. Pushed the ball through, and that was their skipper Matthews, who along with Dalgleish have shown great endeavour tonight. They've really put themselves in, using their experience and their leadership qualities, and we see the scoreboard. Mount Lilydale 13 points down on Cranbourne. We've been playing 10.5 minutes into this final term, this first Herald Shield match for 1983. And there's an overhead mark going to that man Dalgleish. Very stocky player, plenty of skill. Ball going towards the boundary line, might have just bounced on the line or short, and we'll have a throw in on the half-forward flank for Mount Lilydale College.
McDonald, number 13. Garvey, number 9. Garvey gets the ball down. It goes towards the opposition. Alloy's kick, a left foot kick high in the air. Up high are the two number 6s. McMahon in the front position was punched away, though, by his opposite number, Hermans. Coming through is Chapman. Couldn't gain possession. It comes out now to Finlay. Finlay screws the ball over the shoulder. A diving attempt by Battleline. Couldn't be taken. It should have been holding the man going there to Mount Lilydale, but it was called play on, and eventually Tripodi takes the mark, plays on, gets past the first tackle, then loses possession. Should have been penalised. It comes out now towards Cox. Cox can't gain possession of it. It's kicked off the ground, and racing after it again. Cox doing the shepherding on that occasion for his teammate in Barden. Cox came over the top of his opponent. The hand pass, a bad play on that time though. He comes out towards D'Angelo. D'Angelo's kick, a poor one, straight to the opposition. It's kicked by Carlson, it looked like. It's off the side of the boot. It wasn't Carlton, it was Turnbull picking the ball up and driving it back as Barden, back towards Turnbull again. He foolishly plays on, then luckily caught one too high, so now he can get the opportunity of steadying play up, and he's told by Andrew Dalglish to do just that.
I don't think Turnbull thought he was too lucky at all.
Well, he did play on after he had taken the mark, and that's why he was lucky that Barden almost was lucky enough for the umpire to blow the whistle. Dalglish swoops on the ball and told by his teammates that he's clear, so he touches it, then lost possession, and still comes after it again. Sotko coming through, tried to run straight back into the opponent. Good piece of play by Gannon. He tackled well and forced Sotko over the boundary line.
Been playing 12.5 minutes in this final term. The margin 13 points in favour of Cranbourne High. Garvey going for the tap. Here's a chance for Mount Lilydale. Three of them there confusing each other. Sotko with the ball kicks it back towards the wing, and Turnbull there for Cranbourne. Turnbull can't take the mark. Slips, falls to the ground. Garvey has the ball knocked from him, pushed towards the boundary line. Mount Lilydale with a nice kick back towards the half-forward flank. Nice torpedo. Here's the opportunity now for Mount Lilydale to keep the ball moving, but Battolini unable to get the ball in. And one of the spectators here, obviously a Mount Lilydale, a Cranbourne fan, saying that Battolini had kicked it over on the full. The umpire didn't agree.
That same fellow was backed Mount Lilydale, so he's obviously given up the ghost. That's one of our cameramen, as the Mount Lilydale boys certainly haven't given up the ghost. It's driven forward again by D'Angelo, and eventually the defence of Cranbourne too strong across that half-back line. We saw Chapman and his teammate down there, his teammate being Hermans. Throw in on the half-forward flank from Mount Lilydale High, doing all of the attacking, but they just can't put a score on the board, as we see Cleary trying to get the ball clear. It's kicked off the ground. Craven doing the shepherding. Capon coming through, shows a lot of strength, cannot get the ball clear. The umpire giving a fair amount of leniency. Now they pull out a free kick, and we find West of Cranbourne High to take the free kick. West puts the ball wide, looking for Dalglish. Dalglish couldn't take the mark, but he follows the ball on well, gets the short kick in. It's over the boundary line on the full, and it's still effective nonetheless, because it's well away. It's almost on centre wing, and it's a long way from there to the goals, with only 5.5 minutes of play left to go, and a 13-point margin facing the Mount Lilydale boys. Frazzini almost took the mark. It's picked up by Garvey. Garvey's kick up towards centre wing. It's all Mount Lilydale as they come out. Cox comes in, tried to tap the ball up towards his teammate. It comes off the feet of his opponent in Young Dart, and a throw-in to take place on centre wing.
Well, pretty good performance by Mount Lilydale tonight. If in 4 years they've risen the standard of their school from just 2 players and 16 ballerinas to this team tonight, they haven't done a bad job, and really they've lacked nothing in the way of enthusiasm. They've run well. They've had a little bit of trouble. Their skills might not be as high as Cranbourne, and they just wasted opportunity.
Nice of you to say they had a couple of ballerinas.
Well, that's what they said in their letter.
Oh, lovely effort by Sotko. Under these circumstances, I would have paid the effort, but it's picked up again by Dalglish. Dalglish going for the long kick. Matthews is down there in the forward pocket. Matthews and De Kretzner, they use their bodies well. Matthews first on the scene. A chance of a goal coming up as he runs in and puts it right through the middle, and there's no doubt that that seals the game.
There's the scoreboard, 6-7-43. Mount Lilydale, 3-6-24.
And you did say that Mount Lilydale had done well, Steve. Let's take nothing at all away from Cranbourne High. Matthews has been a great leader, and that was a perfect example on that occasion. And we did speak about Dalglish, and there's no doubt that Dalglish has shown his class, particularly in this quarter. And when they needed the extra effort, Dalglish has given them the lift.
Free kick.
Yes, there's 5 players in the centre for Cranbourne High, so maybe they're over-exuberant at the present moment.
Well, their arithmetic might be too good. Their football's okay, but their arithmetic's crooked. The ball going towards the boundary line and finally forced over. We've only got about 3.5 minutes to go in this final quarter. A match marred by the rain here at VFL Park tonight. Massive players there. I don't think anyone actually got their hand to the ball. The umpire will come in and bounce about 45 metres around on this members' side of the ground. The Mount Lilydale end. They need 4 goals to win it. Can't see them doing it in 3 minutes. they put up a pretty good show.
Actually, talking about good shows, Garvey's effort, particularly since going in the ruck, has been exceptionally good. It could have been a free kick easily there to D'Angelo, but he wasn't paid. Eventually a tackle too high, and does see the ball with the Mount Lilydale boys, and we see Sean McMahon.
Yes, McMahon was in the way as Dalglish ran right through him. Let's have a look at his kick. Wobbly old kick. Players flying against each other and no chance whatsoever. The ball going over the boundary line, just over 2 minutes to go. The rain still pouring down here at VFL Park. The drought really broken tonight. Let's hope it keeps going for a few more days yet.
Free kick going the way of Mount Lilydale. McDonald tried hard right throughout the night. Brad McDonald has got the free kick. Short of the half-forward line, closer, when I say short of the half-forward line, I mean a bit closer to goal than that. It's grabbed off the side of the boot. We couldn't see Urquhart get the ball clear of the pack there. We tried a hand pass there from Carlson. It's picked up almost by Battleline. A great try right through the night. Should be a free kick for pushing the back. Does so. And so it won't be an easy kick from there because he's about 35 to 40 metres out from goal. And they're all very tired at the 18-minute mark of the final term. But Battleline has done well. He's kicked right through the centre. A lovely goal from Stephen Battleline to bring up his personal tally to 1 goal 2. And there's the scoreboard. 6-7-43. Mount Lilydale 4-6-30. And that's just a perfect example of the fact that Mount Lilydale may be down on the scoreboard, but they certainly haven't given up the ghost. They've battled right throughout. In fact, they've had most of the play in this final term, but the stronger defence and desperate play of the defence of Cranbourne High has held them out.
Bob, only a minute or so to go. Best players for both sides?
Well, I think Dalglish, certainly the best player on the ground, has probably been the difference in the two sides. And looking across the half-back, Garvey has been a good player. West has tried hard, so too Chapman. Hazendonk has done well. Tripodi and on the wing. Cleary, a good little player. And Kretzer has done also well with Gannon. And so looking at Mount Lilydale, I feel that both McDonalds have tried hard. D'Angelo, a good player. Cox and McMahon. Alloy has, you couldn't have asked for more than his effort on the wing. Battleline and Dite have tried hard. Pound has kicked a couple of goals. And although he hasn't had the greatest of skills, Sotko has done a great job in the ruck along with the little fellow Finley. But there is my best player on the ground. And that's obviously why he's been chosen by Hawthorn to be in the Peter Crittenden Scholarship Squad.
Well, Bobby, as the timekeeper's hand reaches for the button, we've only got 30 seconds to go. The goal kickers for Cranbourne High tonight. Loy has kicked 2, Dart, Chapman, De Kretzer and Matthews, their skipper, 1 apiece. While for Mount Lilydale College, Pound kicked their first 2 goals, Battolini and Finlay. And can't see an opportunity for another goal. With just a few seconds to go, Cranbourne High will run out victorious tonight. 6-7-43 to Mount Lilydale, 4-6-30, and there's the final siren. Bob Skilton.
Thank you, Stephen. And then that final siren saw a 13-point win to Cranbourne High in the first of the Herald for 1983.
Team captains Richie Benno of Australia and Frank Worrell of the West Indies tossed before the start of the first test match at the Wollongabba Ground, Brisbane. And judging by the smile on Frank Worrell's face, he's delighted to win the toss and take first use of a perfect batting pitch.
This is the only coverage in existence from those early days of Australian television. It was photographed by a single 16mm camera, and the silent film was flown to Sydney for editing and dubbing. I worked as the commentary writer and later as the reader as well. You see it now exactly as it was shown in 1960.
The opening pair for the West Indies are Cammy Smith and Conrad Hunt. Smith, on the left, zoomed into public favour with 2 hard-hitting knocks in the earlier matches against the States. Conrad Hunt, a polished batsman and a proven test opener, will face the first ball from Alan Davidson. Davidson is able to move the ball away from the batsman, and his deliberate plan to entice the batsman to play strokes gets a typical West Indian reaction off the third ball of the match. A boundary to open the scoring, much to the delight of the crowd. Now Davidson, varying his attack, tries one on the leg stump. The batsman run two, but the ball beats the fieldsman to the boundary. This is a sparkling start, and it's unusual for Davidson to concede as many runs in the first over. The first moment of uncertainty comes with the last ball of Davidson's over. A fast outswinger has Hunt swishing at the ball, and the batsman has shown fallibility in his desire to score runs quickly. Wicket-keeper Wally Grout makes a splendid save off the last ball of the fourth over. West Indies none for 23 in 20 minutes of play. However, the change comes in the fifth over of the match. Davidson the bowler, Smith the batsman. No score, but a wicket falls off this ball by Alan Davidson. Cammy Smith caught Grout, bowled Davidson for 7, and the first West Indian wicket has fallen with 23 runs on the board. Smith leaves the scene, and there's a great round of applause for Rowan Canhigh as he makes his way to the wicket. This batsman has already established a great reputation with his desire to score runs quickly. Davidson bowling to Canhigh. Canhigh, like Hunt, starts with a boundary. It's dashing cricket, and almost every ball provides more excitement. More runs to Canhigh. There's something of the line of Keith Miller and Dennis Thompson in Canhigh's makeup. A lost cap, 2 runs and almost a fall, and all this a normal series of events while he's at the wickets. Now he faces the last ball of Davidson's over, and again there's an incident. Canhigh is quick to recover from his jarred hand, and in the next over by Mekif, the crowd is treated to some entertaining batting by both Hunt and Canhigh. The score races to 42, and then the game takes a sudden turn when Alan Davidson takes the wicket of Hunt for 24. The West Indies have now lost 2 wickets rather cheaply, and a lot will depend on the performance of Canhigh and the remaining batsmen, because Hunt was a valuable man to lose. Play continues with Davidson bowling to Sobers, and once more a boundary is the first scoring shot. The Australian captain is not overawed by the quick scoring, and he maintains a packed slip field. Benno realises that Davidson can move the ball away from the batsman, and already this has brought 2 wickets. It's great cricket to watch, and the crowd is increasing rapidly as Davidson bowls to Sobers. And Sobers gives visual proof of his reputation as one of the great batsmen in the world today. Then another breakthrough for Australia as Davidson bowls to Canhigh. Canhigh caught Grout, bowled Davidson for 15. Davidson has captured all 3 wickets, and all 3 have gone to catches. 2 to Grout and 1 to Benno. Play resumes with Benno bowling his first over, and Sobers welcomes him with typical aggression. This sizzling straight drive takes the score past 100, and even Benno has to applaud the brilliance of Garfield Sobers. This is the start of an innings which was later rated by experts as one of the best ever seen in a test match in Australia. Here Sobers squashes the theory that West Indians can't play spin bowling. It's a long time since Benno has been punished like this. And Worrell too is able to pick up runs when he can get the strike. Worrell scores a single off the first ball of Mackay's over, and Sobers steals the limelight again. Sobers and Worrell have started their partnership which yielded almost 200 runs. Worrell, playing the role of the lesser light in the combination, is making a valuable contribution towards a big score for the West Indies. They've recovered from the loss of 3 early wickets and are still maintaining the crowd-pleasing rate of more than 1 run a minute and nearly 6 runs an over. Sobers passed 50 in 57 minutes, and his innings at this stage included 8 fours. This is a timely return to form after his recent string of failures against New South Wales and Queensland. With lunch approaching, Benno bowls and Worrell follows the pattern of his left-handed partner. At lunch, the West Indies have lost 3 wickets for 130, with Sobers not out 68 and Worrell not out 16.
And that was the most entertaining morning session in modern cricket history. And the Australian who did so well was Alan Davidson, the fast bowler, who was starting there one of the greatest all-round performances in Test history. And now, almost a quarter of a century later, you look back on that morning's play, Alan. You started off and, first over, you hit for 8 runs, you finished up with 3 wickets. You must have wondered what it was all about.
Well, actually, I think the whole Test series against the West Indies was an absorbing one, Norman. But I think that particular morning, I can remember on the evening before we had our team dinner, and Sir Donald Bradman said, I just think that you've got a wonderful opportunity to do something for cricket in this series. Never realising that in that next morning, I can recall picking up the 3 wickets, but I think even more amazing was the fact that we had drinks after the first hour. And I said to Richie, gee, they're 65. And he said, yes, but they're also 3 down. And to sort of still continue to play with that exhilaration that they had, and despite losing wickets, to me was sort of signified the whole series. And we played it in much the same spirit. I think if you go right through the series, I suppose one could say that we were nearly scoring 6 runs and over both sides. There were attacking fields. There were 2 captains prepared to play a marvellous game. I think Frank Worrell, and I think if you just have a look at the clips that we've just watched, I doubt if there's ever been a greater stylist than Frank Worrell. He was a great captain. Richie Benno was a great captain. We had great teams, and I think that first morning really epitomised what cricket was all about.
Alan, can you compare that to your first test as an opening bowler, which was 2 years before England scored 19 before lunch?
Yeah, well, yes. I think England scored something like about 130 in the whole day. Mm-hmm. They had it up before lunch, the West Indians. And, and what we were concerned about was it going to be the first time 500 had been scored in a day, because if you recall, also Sobers got his 50 in just under the hour. And to me, that is the finest innings I've ever seen played in Test cricket, because he just didn't beat us. It's all very well to play shots and beat the field, but Gary in that innings, I've never seen a player bisect the field so beautifully as Gary did. and yet hit it with you know, absolutely, well, he was a gifted player. That's the easiest way to describe him. He was a genius, and he just bisected the field. And it didn't matter what we bowled to him, he hit it for 4.
Well, we're going to invite you to come back later in the program, but now we'll rejoin that wonderful partnership between Sobers and Worrell.
Unconcerned by the state of the game, the batsmen have been scoring at the flamboyant rate of 6 runs and over, and every Australian bowler has been punished severely. Sobers is in tremendous form, and Worrell, playing a captain's knot, is restraining his natural aggression to give his talented partner as much of the bowling as he can. Alan Davidson, both in fact and figures, is the best of the Australians, but he can't check the continuous flow of runs. The news of the thrilling cricket has spread rapidly, and the crowd is increasing by the hour. Benno now bowling to Worrell, and a flashing square cut is a good example of the free stroking of these colourful West Indian players, and this quick spate of scoring takes Worrell into the 30s. Worrell's classical style blends in perfect harmony with the power stroking of Garfield Sobers, and this partnership has been rated by experts as equal to any seen in Australia in a test match. Whether it's speed or spin, there's nothing Australia can produce to restrain these brilliant batsmen, and in this over it's left-handed Alan Davidson who comes in for some cavalier treatment. Sobers and Worrell maintain the fast rate of scoring against a consistent and varied attack. They race to a century partnership in 90 minutes with Sobers the dominating figure. For the 10,000 people at the ground, this is real entertainment because the refreshing approach of the West Indians is far removed from the tense atmosphere when Australia meets England. These fellows have no respect for reputations, and Benno is given village green treatment in this over to Sobers. Runs in quick succession, and Sobers passes through the 80s to move to 90. Benno to Worrell, and the captain gets a single to give his partner the strike. The last ball of the over, Garfield Sobers is among the runs again. A new name appears on the scoreboard, and Lindsay Klein bowls his first over of the match. And although Sobers and Worrell continue to notch up runs, Klein is to prove the least expensive of all the Australian bowlers. But while the flow of boundaries is checked temporarily, the batsmen entertain the public with some smart running between the wickets. The single takes Sobers' score to 95, and the crowd anticipates the century in Benno's next over. Another boundary, Sobers 99. Sobers 100. Century, which was rated by ABC commentator Johnny Moyes as one of the best he has seen in 50 years of cricket. Klein, the bowler, now to feel the might of this 24-year-old batsman who has just scored his 1000 in Test cricket. Worrell is content to play a minor role in the partnership, but his presence on the field has given confidence to the brilliant left-hander. Sobers now has played almost every shot in the cricket textbook. After 3 hours of play, the West Indians are well ahead of the clock with 207 runs on the board for the loss of 3 wickets. The players pause for drinks, and with half the first day over, the West Indians have consolidated their position. Play resumes with Davidson bowling, and Worrell's cover drive pierces the field to take his score past 50. This has been a remarkable recovery by the 2 West Indian batsmen. Australia was right on top in the morning session with 3 quick wickets in the first hour of play. When Worrell joined Sobers, the visitors were on the verge of collapse, but together they have laid the foundations of a very big score. On the other hand, the Australian team has stuck to the task, and the fielding throughout the whole match has been first class. The Australian fieldsmen are relieved when the partnership comes to an end. Sobers spoons up an easy catch off a full toss from Meckett, and he's out for 132. This great innings lasted only 3 hours, and it included 21 fours.
You recognise the voice of the commentator there? That was James Dibble. There was more to the Sobers-Worrell partnership than meets the eye, and to talk about that, the famous Australian cricket broadcaster Alan McGilvray. What did that partnership mean in relation to the whole game and perhaps the whole tour?
It meant a great deal to Frank Worrell. I can never forget his words. I knew him very well, and I discussed this matter of Benno with him because he said, Benno doesn't bother me, but it bothers me to the effect he's having on my team. I must have Gary there, and I must have Canhigh. Well, Canhigh went out, but he wanted the left hand and the right hand combination to defeat Benno. Now, you see, Benno took 6 for 61 against them in the New South Wales match prior to this. And he insisted that he must get on top and Gary must help him. He played quite an insignificant part in that partnership. I think he was 16 at lunch, but he kept guiding Gary. You notice a couple of times in that film, he stopped in mid-wicket, picked the bad ball, don't take a risk, I want you to stay on top of this man. He must not defeat us. And the whole atmosphere surrounded that with me when I knew this subject and I knew how well intent he was on that particular partnership and the meaning it had for the rest of the tour. Frank Worrell was a great captain. I heard Alan Davidson pay him compliments, and so was Benno. That was a magnificent bit of cricket, good thoughtful cricket by Frank Worrell in defeating the man that they feared most. Well, he only took 1 wicket for 160 in the match. I think that answer is sufficient to say that Worrell won that battle.
You heard the commentary say there that Johnny Moyes, a very famous old friend of yours, said that he thought it was the best century in 50 years of cricket by Sobers. Would you agree with that?
Yes, I would. When Gary scored 254 in Melbourne, I went down to see him and I complimented him on the innings. And I said, that was a great pleasure to watch that, Gary. And he said, Don Bradman said it's the best I ever played. And I said, well, Don knows a lot about cricket, but I won't say it's a better innings than you played in Brisbane. And he agreed. He thought himself, although it was a magnificent 254 in Melbourne, that was, in my opinion, and his greatest innings.
So what we've seen there is really cricket history, the greatest innings ever by one of the greatest players in the world.
It was unbelievably good. So true was Alan Davidson when he said he meant to hit every ball to a certain part of the field, and he hit it. And he placed the ball. I shall always remember the shot that Colin McDonald fielded at mid-off. I've never seen a ball hit so hard, and I've never seen a fieldsman knock back 5 yards, and Colin went back 5 yards.
Well, Alan, we're going to invite you back later to assess the whole match, but we can say now that the West Indies in the first day scored 359, a run a minute for the whole day. On the second morning, there was another character came out, and he entertained both as a batsman, and he was pretty fiery late as a bowler. His name was Wesley Winfield Hall.
By now, the Australian fieldsmen are looking pretty weary, but they're sticking to their task well in spite of Hall's fierce onslaught. Hall seems the least concerned as he waits for another opportunity to heave that bat at the spearhead of the tired Australian attack, Alan Davidson. But the big fellow doesn't always connect, and he's not too proud to demonstrate how the shot should have been played. It's been crowd-pleasing cricket at its best with a strong Australian attack team. This is great cricket to watch, and the big Saturday crowd revels in the display by the giant West Indian Wesley Hall. The big fellow doesn't have any claim to know the finer points of batsmanship, but his technique, whether it's polished or not, is paying dividends. Another boundary, and Hall takes his score to 20. And just to prove that bowlers can develop style, Wesley Hall amuses and delights the crowd with his immaculate defensive movement. It's time to attack, and Alexander goes for a big hit. Alexander has been batting a long time for his 30-odd runs, but he realizes that the end is not far away. On the other hand, the spectators wouldn't object if the West Indians, with Hall in particular, could stay at the crease forever. Keen students who study their ABC cricket book realize that this is the highest score made by a West Indian team in a test match in Australia. It's not only the highest, but the most entertaining, and an experienced commentator in Johnny Moyes described the first day's play as the best he has seen. This quick single takes the West Indian score to 400. 400 runs in a test match against Australia is a good effort at any time, but the important thing is the way the runs were put together. It's been a long time since Australian bowlers took a thrashing, and Richie Benaud, who's tried just about everything by now, wastes no time in calling on Alan Davidson and the new ball. Davidson is the bowler, and it's obvious that Alexander wants to get Hall away from the striker's end. O'Neill prevents any chance of a quick single, but the batsmen are determined to achieve their objective off the next ball. It's tap and run. It should be a run out, but for once, Davidson misses the stumps. They try anything, these colourful players, and it's heartbreaking for the bowlers if they get away with it. Alexander now, round the leg side it goes, a chase for the fieldsman and more runs for the West Indies. They cross for 3, and Davidson has another crack at Wesley Hall. The young giant cracks back and charges down the pitch. A collision. Down he goes and up to complete 2 runs with the whole ground in a state of pandemonium. Eight runs in 1 over with the new ball. That's only a mild effort compared with the onslaught in Mekif's new over. By Alexander off 2 balls. The crowd wants Hall, and when Mekif sends down a suitable ball, Alexander obliges by turning the ball to leg for a single. Now Hall has the strike, and the crowd settles down for some legalized assault and battery as Ian Mekif moves in to bowl. Another 4 to Hall. 17 runs off the over. High pitch of excitement as Hall needs 1 more for his 50. Wesley Hall, 50 runs in 65 minutes, and they're loving every minute. A bowling change, and Lindsay Klein comes in to tame the dashing West Indian. Hall has established his reputation against fast bowling, and the spinning ball has him guessing. Wesley Hall seems to be in trouble. The next ball from Klein. Hall, deceived by flight, stretches into the unknown. Grush whips off the bails and Hall is stumped for 50. Hall receives a tremendous ovation for a remarkable half-century which included 8 fours.
The West Indies all out 453, the runs scored in very fast time, the innings finishing before lunch on the second day. Apart from the Sabres century, 4 other players reached 50 or more, a good team effort. Of the bowlers, Davidson was the most impressive, and Klein picked up 3 wickets in the second half of the order. Next, the fiery start to Australia's first innings.
A full toss right at McDonald's head. A fiery opening by the giant bowler. This is real test match heat, with Hall bowling at express speed from the start. Here comes another thunderbolt, and McDonald almost gets an edge. The ball is coming to McDonald at 90 miles an hour, but the plucky Victorian opens the Australian scoring with 2 runs through the packed leg side field. Here comes Hall's answer to McDonald's first scoring stroke. A really vicious ball. Straight at the batsman, and McDonald collapses in pain. McDonald was struck just under the heart by a ball which reared up from a little short of a length. McDonald, a tough fellow, is soon ready to face Hall again. It's a full toss, and McDonald bangs it through the ring of close fieldsmen for another 4 runs. Again, the boundary brings a reaction from Wesley Hall in the shape of a vicious bumper. McDonald has taken all that Hall has to offer, never once flinching from the job at hand. It must be a frightening experience facing this giant bowler, but McDonald is as tough and courageous as they come. This is a graphic close-up as McDonald is struck again. McDonald has taken the worst pounding of his career, and his courage has won him the admiration and respect of every person at the ground. It's significant, too, that every West Indian player, including those from the outfield, have come to offer sympathy. A few seconds delay, and here Hall charges in to bowl another. And there's Colin McDonald, as game as he ever was, banging the ball through the outside field for another bounce. And that's testimony in itself of the courage of this tough Victorian batsman. The West Indies maintain their fast attack, and Sobers continues to McDonald. This is quite unusual because the spin bowlers have not been used, and the Australian innings is more than 90 minutes old. Apart from this minor error, McDonald and Simpson are able to score freely off the remainder of the over. McDonald takes a single to move to 44 and then leaves the field as the players pause for drinks. McDonald is suffering from badly bruised ribs, and he requires strapping by the doctor who attended him during the luncheon adjournment. In the meantime, the fieldsmen take a breather with the score at none for 62 after 100 minutes of play. The bowler is starting to slow down a little, and Simpson plays his first aggressive stroke for more than 1 hour. As they take a second run, notice McDonald holding his bruised chest. McDonald has taken his score to 48, and around the ground, the crowd of 16,000 is ready to applaud his half-century. Colin McDonald, a gallant half-century scored in 100 minutes. Spurred on by a tremendous ovation, McDonald sets about to take revenge on the bowling, and Frank Worrell is the victim in this over. Then Sobers strikes a great blow for the West Indies. MacDonald plays an uppish leg glance and Hunt takes a brilliant catch at leg slip. MacDonald is out, caught Hunt, bowled Sobers for 57, an innings which was rated by experts as one of the most courageous in modern cricket.
And certainly Wes Hall coming in with that great long run of his for the first ball in a test match in Australia was a frightening experience, and of course as things developed it was a frightening innings that I had to play.
What was the extent of your injuries?
I got badly bruised. I don't know that I suffered any. I didn't break. There were no breaks. I took a great number of balls in my chest, and I certainly had bruises from there right down to my knees. And in fact, the imprint of the ball was on my body. You could see the seam, and it was a good talking point for a few weeks. But when the bruises went, there was no permanent damage. But certainly there was a fair amount of, quite a number of blood vessels broken, and it hurt.
It appeared you couldn't get away from the strike.
Well, Bob Simpson was up the other end. I think that was just the way the cookie crumbled, you know. I think I took more of the strike in that innings, but it wasn't planned that way. It just happened that way, and it was one of those innings where I seemed to be copping Hall all the time.
And no headgear or protective gear?
No, in those days we didn't have any, we had no real protection. We had the thigh pad. I remember that Richie Benno did produce chest pads, which were cumbersome. They were the first attempt to produce a good protection for the body. They were good, but I found it too hot to wear it, so I discarded it after trying it, I think, briefly. It was less traumatic to get hit than to wear the darn thing.
You took a fair sort of pounding from Wesley Hall. Did you dislike him?
How could you dislike such a gentleman? He was a great bowler, a great gentleman on and off the field. Mind you, he's a little bit hard to like on the field, but having known him now for a long time, and even during those days, he was delightful to know. We had a lot of laughs off the field.
Courageous Colin MacDonald was not the only batsman to be hit by a thunderbolt from Wesley Hall. Here's the introduction to Australia's number 4, Norman O'Neill.
Ball works up to top speed, and the success of the Australians rests on the shoulders of O'Neill. A terrible blow, and O'Neill collapses on the pitch in agony.
O'Neill recovered to go on and score his best ever in a test match for Australia. Late on the second day, Bob Simpson was out for 92, a slow innings, yes, but a very important one for a team chasing 450. Now we're going to pick up play on the third morning with O'Neill and Favell batting for Australia.
Favell takes the brunt of the attack in the first half hour of play, and the Australians are able to pass through the new ball period without incident. Favell and O'Neill went on to add 86 runs against the tight, fast attack.
Favell goes on the attack by hitting Valentine for 2 straight sixes, and then the only controversial dismissal in the whole match.
Valentine is given another spell, and Favell, in his eagerness to score, loses his wicket off the next ball by Valentine. It's a close run-out decision, and Favell waits for the umpire to confirm his dismissal. It was touch and go, and Favell was a little unlucky to be run out after a fine innings of 45. Australia has now lost 4 wickets for 278, with O'Neill on 62. With Ramadan bowling, O'Neill starts to attack. This burst of scoring is the best Australian batting of the innings. Things are starting to brighten up, and O'Neill's burst of power hitting has split the seam of the ball. This causes a hold-up in play. After examination by the umpires and players, it is decided that a new ball is required before the game can continue. Play goes on, with Valentine bowling to Mackay. Runs are coming quicker now, and Mackay sacrifices the strike as O'Neill is rapidly approaching his century. Valentine bowls, and O'Neill, with a straight drive, brings up his first century in a test match in Australia. A bowling change, and Hall bounds in with the third new ball. This time it holds no fears, and there's some quick scoring off this spell. O'Neill races down the pitch for a well-run single, and Australia has taken the lead with 5 wickets still in hand. This is the signal for aggression, and Davidson opens his shoulders to score the first boundary in half an hour. Hall, nettled by the boundary hit, comes storming in to bowl the next ball. It's extra fast, and Davidson slicks a catch to Alexander behind the stumps. Davidson batted solidly to score 44 runs in just 1.5 hours. They take a quick second run, and Australia is 9 for 500. Another over with Ian Meckiff facing Hall. The batsmen are able to score another 5 runs before the end of the innings. O'Neill attempts a lofted drive. The ball soars high in the air, and Valentine, waiting at mid-off, takes the catch. During the day, the Australians scored 309 runs for the loss of 7 wickets. The outstanding batsman was Norman O'Neill, and his total of 181 was his best in a test match. His innings, which lasted 400 minutes, included 22 fours.
So the Australians were all out 505 to create a first innings lead of 52. O'Neill, the top scorer, and the 2 openers scoring 2/3 of the runs between them. In this long innings, the West Indian fast bowler Hall put up a marathon performance for 4 wickets, and the spinners Valentine and Ramadan only picked up 2 wickets between them. And of course the highlight for Australia was the batting of Norman O'Neill. Here with me again, Alan Davidson. Normie O'Neill.
Well, I don't think present-day people would, young players that probably watched great players of the past few years, would realise that Norman O'Neill could be ranked with any of the great players of the past. He was a magnificent player. I doubt if there was ever a stronger player off the back foot. And certainly when he was in full cry, you know, he was a joy to watch. And he could devastate any attack in the world.
Do you think he hit the ball as hard as Sabres, or harder, or what?
Well, I think he hit, well, they were both great players. I think Gary probably was, was slighter build. Normie was very powerful, extremely powerful forearms, shoulders, and he had this incredible power to hit fast bowlers off the back foot, straight back down the ground. And I doubt if there was ever a stronger player, as I say, off the back foot. But his innings was 181, and I think if you asked Normie what was his greatest innings, I think you'd have to rate that one, especially after the early start that he had, which wasn't very complimentary to him.
Well, the state of the game, Australia just on 50 runs ahead, or just over that. Could it be won either way from there?
Well, I think we more or less thought that it would end up in a draw at that stage with 2 days to go, Norman. But I think the best part was that we went out there to play cricket, and we were determined we were playing to win. And I think that was the whole point right throughout the series, basically, except later on in the series. But really, we went out there to win the test match, and I think both sides went out to win it. And I think that's what actually, when you culminated in what was a fantastic last day.
The second innings for the West Indies can be rated as a personal triumph for Alan Davidson. Now, we've picked out some highlights of this. We'll show them fairly quickly, and here they are. This is the West Indies batting. Sobers is the batsman.
Initiative with this ball from left-hander Alan Davidson. A fast-swinging Yorker, and Sobers is clean bowled. Sobers made 14 runs, and the West Indians have lost 3 for 114. Solomon is content to keep his wicket intact and leave the run-getting to his more experienced partner. And Worrell does just that. He's batting quite well now in that graceful, fluent manner, which has always been a feature of his play. vital partnership is brought to an end by Alan Davidson. The brilliant left-arm bowler takes his 4th wicket when Frank Worrell snicks a catch to ground. Worrell is out for 65, the same as his score in the first inning. A grand performance by the veteran West Indian captain. Worrell and Solomon added 83 runs, and the score is 5 for 210. Alan Davidson follows up his great effort with another wicket. Lashley clean bowled without scoring, and the West Indians faced a very real prospect of outright defeat with a lead of 158 runs with 4 wickets in hand. Paul clean bowled, and the West Indians are all out for 284. They have a lead of 232 runs, and Australia has just over 300 minutes batting time left to score the run.
So here's that scoreboard, and you see there a disappointing effort by the West Indies compared to the fireworks of the first innings. Worrell was the top scorer with 65, and Canhay also reached the half-century. Of the bowlers, Davidson was head and shoulders above the rest with his 6 for 87, and Simpson picked up a couple of cheap wickets.